You are listening to Phone Eats First. Hello everyone, welcome back to Phone Eats First, a podcast about romanticizing life and finding inspiration inside and outside of the kitchen. My name is Corey May, Corey in the Kitchen. Have you know me? Have you found me? Hi, hello. I'm so happy you're here. Merry Christmas if you're listening to this episode when it comes out, which is the week of Christmas. We're excited. It's Christmas time. Or if you're listening to it after Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy Thanksgiving. Who knows when you'll be listening to this, but the intention is that you're listening to it at the end of 2024. Hence why this episode is all about my 2024 favorites. And we'll throw in a little disclaimer. These are my favorites. You don't have to like any of this that I'm talking about, but if you do, that's probably why you're here, because we have similar interest. But before we get into my 2024 faves, we'll get into the weekly report. Okay, so our reading, I am reading Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. It is the third book in the Throne of Glass series, and I'm not far into it. I think I'm on chapter 2 because I've been so tired that I can't get past like a paragraph before I fall asleep. So we'll get through it eventually. I plan on doing a lot of reading over Christmas. But I'm excited for Christmas and relaxing and reading and being at my parents' house and just literally doing nothing. I'll do some stuff, but I won't be working, and that's the most important thing of all. All right, P, plan. I know I just said I won't be working, but tomorrow I'm going to work from home, just get ahead on some things while I have no one to bother me. And I'm going to see Caroline and Lake because they fly into Raleigh. That is the one benefit of still living in my home state, because then all my friends have to fly, not all of them. I wish more of them, but when my friends do fly home, it's like, oh, let me just pop in and say hey and give you your Christmas present and then go on our ways. It is sad that it's really hard to get together as an adult over the holidays, even though everyone's coming home, but everyone's coming home to go to their home, not to then travel again to see everyone. So that's a tangent, but whatever. The con of being an adult these days. Okay, obsession. This is as of about 2 hours ago. I discovered a Spotify playlist. It is called Christmas Jazz Time. Jazz Time. I don't know if I enunciated well enough. It's jazz music, no lyrics, and it's Christmas songs if you haven't caught on yet. But it's just so relaxing and peaceful, and it's been going. It's literally still going. I love it. I've always had a soft spot, though, for kind of jazz orchestra music, because if you didn't know, I was an orchestra student in middle school for 3 years. I played the stand-up bass. Anyway, that's a story for another time. Okay, our recipe. Tonight I made broccoli cheddar soup, and I have never made broccoli cheddar soup, nor do I really like broccoli cheddar soup that much. Like I don't not like it, but I had a bag of broccoli in my fridge, and I kind of was in the mood for soup because I got a tooth out last week. I also had 5 wisdom teeth. Again, story for another time. Got that successfully removed, but so I'm still eating soft foods just to be safe. So I had soup and then steak and sourdough, and it was so good. But also, if you do like broccoli cheddar soup, I recommend making it. It's really easy. It's, as you would imagine, broccoli, cheddar, and then like onion, carrot, broth, milk. I had a cottage cheese for more protein. It was really easy. Didn't take long at all. I was just eating it, and I was kind of like, do I like this? I don't know. Okay. Lastly, tea treat. I had a cookout milkshake for the first time in like over a year this past week, and it was so good. I tried to get the peppermint chip flavor, but they were out for whatever reason, unfortunate. So I went with my handy dandy go-to chocolate Oreo, and it was so good. I may or may not have been on my period. That is why I justified getting it. But it didn't disappoint. Reminded me of being a 17-year-old going to the cookout drive-thru, or just after football games going and sitting at cookout, because that is what we did. All right, that is the weekly report. Let's get into today's episode. All right, like I mentioned, today's episode is Corey in the Kitchen's 2024 favorites. So I did this episode last year, and I covered music, books, concerts. What else did I cover? I don't really remember. But this year I've got kind of similar things. I did music, books, songs, concerts, content creators, podcasts, trips, some health, wellness, random items, stuff in the kitchen, new edition, my top unaesthetic moments of the year, because if you know, I have a whole thing about that on my Instagram, and then just a few things I've learned. So let's get it right into it. And of course, this is inspired by Spotify Wrapped, so shout out Spotify. Let's just start there while we're talking about it. So according to my actual Spotify Wrapped, my top artists in order were Taylor Swift, Hozier, Mountjoy, Noah Kahan, and Rainbow Kitten Surprised, which I don't disagree to that. The only kind of people which I know Wrapped ends in like maybe September or something, so whoever you listen to like the last 3 months of the year don't actually count. But I love Luke Combs, but of course I only listen to him like peak summer prime country time, because I also don't really listen to country music anymore. But also I wanted to give an honorable shout out to two of my new obsessions, which are Billie Eilish and Renee Rapp. I've always kind of liked Billie, but I never really listened to her, but I love the new album. And then also Renee Rapp, I very recently discovered her and started listening to her, and she's incredible. They both want to make me be able to sing, or they both make me mad that I can't sing, which isn't a healthy obsession, but they are beautiful, amazing, talented people, and you should listen to them. All right, and then my top songs according to my Wrapped, which this just doesn't really, it's kind like, it's not incorrect, but my top 1 and 2 just, I don't think they're right. Number 1, I have Northern Attitude by Noah Kahan and Hozier. Important disclaimer, the one with Hozier, not just Noah Kahan. And then number 2, I'm Not Who I Was, which is a song by Chance Pena. It's a good song, and I remember listening to it a lot this year, but not like that much. All right, number 3, Unknown by Hozier, 100% correct, even that might even need to be number 1. Number 4, Too Sweet, also by Hozier. And number 5, Silver Lining, which that one by Mountjoy. I listen to Mountjoy a lot. So those 3 I agree with, but I don't know. And so my honorable mention songs, which I listen to Taylor Swift a lot. Obviously, she's been my number 1 artist 2 years in a row now, but I don't have really a favorite song by her. It kind of ebbs and flows just based off of the time of year, and I get obsessed with songs for a little bit, and then I play the same song over and over and over and over until I'm kind of tired of it. So for Taylor, I'm more of an album kind of girl. Like, I love the entire Midnight's album, and then also Evermore and Folklore. So, you know, Peace, August, Cardigan, that vibe, Willow, and then I like all of Midnight's. Also love the new album, but there's too many songs on there to really be like, oh, this entire album I love. So I don't have a specific Taylor song. That's why I'm not surprised she wasn't in my top 5. Unknown I put on because that is 1000% my favorite song right now. It hits, but you have to be in the car alone, full blast volume. The song Let It Go, who is that by? It starts with a B. Let me look. Which, again, it's not my, favorite song, but of 2024, this is one that came out, and when it came out, I was like, oh, this song hits. Why is it not even coming up? Well, now this is bothering me. I need to find it. Oh my God, I know why. Because it's called Let It Grow, not Let It Go. Oh my God, idiot Corey. Let It Grow by Bombargo. Great song. Okay, that's embarrassing. All right, then we've got Rock City by Kings of Leon, which Lydia Totten, shout out you. You put me on that song. Then we've also got The Love Club by Lorde, which again, not a new song, but it honestly just was trending on TikTok, and I was like, oh my God, this song is a banger, and I listened to it a lot. We've got More Than a Woman, which is by the Bee Gees, but I have a remix version, and I know it has SG in the remix name. No, I listen to that song literally all the time. And then the band group Sure, they do, I don't know if they're covers, but there's one song, Friends, and then, oh, This Must Be the Place. I know that one's a cover, but I don't know, just my genre and taste change literally week by week. So those are just kind of current songs. I skimmed through my 2024 liked songs, which also on Spotify, I don't even make playlists because Spotify is just so amazing and makes the playlist for me. So it's hard for me to keep track of what I even like because I don't have playlists to like bookmark what my timeline of the year has been of listening to music. It's just the daily mixes and this random, the day list. We love the day list. Okay, and then also still sticking to the music genre, my top concerts of the year, which I didn't go to okay, I probably go to more than a lot of people. So whatever. I'm privileged. I spend my money on concerts. But of the concerts I went to, number one, hands down, Hozier. Obviously, if you can't tell, I love him. I splurged and I bought pit tickets, and my mom and I went, and we had an amazing time. We could see him. He was literally like right there, and his voice is incredible. The only downside was sitting in the parking lot for an entire hour before we could even move because we didn't leave early. And then also my mom and I went and saw Pink this fall, which I've always loved Pink because my mom would play her concert on the TV when I was like 10, 12, 14. I don't even know. It was just always on. And I loved it. She loved it. And we were always like, one day we need to go see Pink. And she is currently touring the Trust Fall tour. And I know she's older. I wouldn't really expect people my age to be wanting to go see Pink, but she is incredible. She is such a talented singer and performer. She's a badass. She's literally flying through the air for several songs. It's so impressive. So those are my top two concerts. And then also honorable mentions, we've got Mountjoy and Goth Babe, which those are both pretty small. Well, Mountjoy is huge now, but they're still on the smaller side, and the Goth Babe is still really small. Goth Babe was fun just because it was such a small venue, and after the concert ended, it turned into an actual just like dance party. Like he stayed on the stage with his DJ-ish, guitar-ish person. I don't even know what you would describe their band as, but it's just two of them. And so they just stayed on the stage and danced. We're playing club music. We're doing the lights. It was fun. And Mountjoy, they're always a vibe. They're not going to do anything crazy. The lights though that was my second time seeing them. They did a whole light show during the concert, and that was fun. I would love to see them at Red Rocks because I'm sure their light show at Red Rocks would just be crazy. All right, moving on to my favorite category, books. 2024 for me was the year of the books, and it's hard for me to have that many books on here as my favorites because I read so many, but also they were series. So obviously, hands down, number one, we've got the IYKYK series by Sarah J. Maas. That is currently what's holding up my laptop while I record this right now. But IYKYK, if you're living under a rock and you don't know, is the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And it's a fairy series, which I don't like that they're called fairy series because it sounds so like woo-woo, intimidating. Like, oh, I don't like, what is fairy? It sounds girly. It's not. It is about a fantasy world with magic and kind of like mythological creatures. I don't know if mythological is right, the word, but just they're fae. You just have to be there. You just have to read it to believe it and understand it. And I know everyone will like it. It didn't take much convincing for me to read IYKYK because I knew millions of people online liked it. I'm like, it's going to be hard for me to not like it because I'm not very picky when it comes to books. Like if people tell me I'm going to like it, I just believe them and I know I'm going to like it. And then I usually end up liking it. So I preach the same for everyone else. You have to read it. It will literally change your life a little bit and it'll get you into reading if you aren't already. So I recommend. And then number 2 on my list, we've got Iron Flame and Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Loved these. The third book comes out at the end of January, so it will be a 3-book series. But these are also in the kind of fairy magic dragon realm. Loved them. Absolutely loved them. Something about them, they just kind of hit different for me. I don't know if it's because it was a much faster storytelling than IYKYK, where you read an entire book that it matters, but it doesn't matter because the characters just make a 360 from book 1, and then you have 4 more books where there's a completely different set of characters and plots and world, whereas this one was a little bit easier to get into and like quickly kind of you understand who the characters are and what their purposes are. I don't know. I thought it was so good. And the 2 books end on such crazy cliffhangers. So I'm excited to see where the third one goes. And it's getting turned into a TV series. So I'm excited for that. I might actually watch TV for once. Okay, number 3 on my list is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. It is a thriller about a housemaid, obviously. And she, without giving it away, she gets locked into the attic of the house, which it says it on the cover. And then there's also a second one, which the second one's almost never as good as the first one, but I was still impressed because I was like, how can you really take the plot of the first one and then make a second one out of it? But Frida did, and it's good. But I definitely recommend The Housemaid, especially if you don't read thrillers much. Like, I love thrillers. It's my favorite genre of book, except now also fantasy. But I feel like this is a pretty like soft welcoming into the world of thrillers. Okay, then we've got Lessons in Chemistry, which I know this book has been out for quite some time. It's on my list because I finished it on like New Year's Day this year. And it was just such an inspiring book in terms of being a woman in the world. And it was told in such a good story way. Like, even just me saying it's a book about being a woman in the world, like, you're like, okay, whatever, let me move on. Like, I don't care. But it's not like that. It's just such a good story. And it has so many good lessons without even really trying to be a lesson. Even though the story is called Lessons in Chemistry. Oh my God. I'm going crazy, I feel like. Anyway, it's a great book. You guys should read it. Okay. And then currently I am reading the Throne of Glass series. And I just already know that this is going to be an earth-shattering series for me. And when I finish it, I will not be okay. So someone check in on me. I'm on book 3 currently. I said that earlier, but I'm already like dreading it ending. Okay, so those are my books. Now let's get into content creators / people I follow. And I did realize that my list was pretty similar to last year, which, that's okay. It means I'm following people that I really like. So number 1, which is a new one, we've got Health with VA, Virginia Wooten. Hi, I know you're going to listen to this at some point. She's been on the podcast twice. She posts such great content. If you are looking, if you live in New York City, but more importantly, if you're into weightlifting or if you're a female and you want to be inspired to weightlift and just eat healthy, get your protein, she just posts such good videos, and I'm inspired because she has grown her account so much. Like, I'm just getting to watch her put the work in now to grow her account, and I'm like, oh, why can't? And then I'm also like, why can't I do that? Like, I need to do that, and then I don't. But she's doing it and actually getting the benefits of it. Like, she's starting to receive PR and do ads and collaborations with brands, and I'm like, wow, it's actually possible. So love that for her. We'll see where she is this time next year. That'll be pretty cool. Okay, number 2, Sydney Adams. She is a fitness girly in Tampa, Florida. Just such aesthetic content. She just got married. I don't know, just I'm a fan. And then we've got Peyton Sarton. She has a podcast called Note to Self. So that is how I originally found her. She lived in LA, then actually lived in Milwaukee the last few months with her boyfriend because he's in the MLB. But now she just bought a house in Florida. So she's just, your pretty basic like fashion influencer, which I don't ever follow fashion influencers. But I don't know. I just am so invested in her life because I know like everything about her from her podcast, which is weird to talk about, but it's just the truth. Then we've got Mari Llewellyn, who is the founder of Bloom, the greens that I drink. She has a podcast called Pursuit of Wellness. She just moved from LA to Austin and is literally a bajillionaire at this point. So her life is just lavish and beautiful. And she just posts such realistic, raw, but also aesthetic because she's rich content. So I don't know. She's very inspiring. Then we've got Callie Gullickson, who is a Peloton instructor. Love her. Love Peloton. She's my favorite instructor still. She lives in Florida, has a baby now. Just, has just a great life going. Very happy, positive content. And then lastly, one of my absolute favorites right now is Wishbone Kitchen, Meredith Hayden. She started as a private chef in the Hamptons and blew up on TikTok. Is basically no longer a private chef, but she also just bought a house in the Hamptons for herself. So it's kind of just a 360 moment for her. She has a puppy now, and she's just like funny, and I feel like we would be friends. Those are my recommended follows right now, at least for myself. If you're a male, you're not going to give a shit about any of them except for maybe Wishbone Kitchen. And something I realized this year, which before I never really followed influencers, and I still don't consider myself someone that follows many influencers, but then I kind of realized, oh shit, I do follow a lot of influencers, but it's almost like let them come to me first. I just like see someone's content over and over and over, and I'm like, well, I feel like I already know about your life, so I feel like I should just follow you and actually just continue to know about your life. And then another thing is, it was kind of interesting and cool to see. So 3 of the people on this list, Mari, Callie Gullickson and Peyton all turned 30 this year, which kind of just put into perspective that everyone's life is so different, but also can be so similar at the same time. All three of those women have very large platforms. They're all very inspiring, but in such different ways. And also they got to where they are in drastically different ways. Callie is a fitness instructor and then got into Peloton. Mari lost 90 pounds and had a transformation journey and then made a business out of her transformation, is just like her story. And then you have Peyton, who's just like, again, just kind of a basic influencer in terms of, you know, she moved to LA but worked her ass off to get to where she is now. And since I've been following them, like listening to them on podcasts, like everything, it's like I just know so much about them now. I don't know. It was kind of inspiring to see that they all turned 30. It was just kind of was like a full circle moment for me. Anyway, enough about that. All right, my favorite podcast from the year, obviously Phone Eats First. Duh. I actually do listen to my own episodes. I don't know if that's weird or not. I feel like I have to just make sure I didn't forget to edit something out or that I don't sound like a complete idiot. But it always ends up being fine. So far, so good. All right, but my favorite podcast to listen to that aren't mine, because I was kind of kidding about that. We've got Call Her Daddy, which this one has climbed back up on the charts for me recently because I have just been loving the guests that Alex has had on more, and love Alex Cooper. Saw her live this year. That was amazing. And number 2, we've got these also aren't necessarily in order, but we've got Note to Self, which is the podcast by Peyton Sarton. I had to take a little bit of a break from her this year. Her episodes just kind of got a little too like list oriented for me. Like it was just like kind of the same thing over and over and over, it felt like. But once I took a break and came back, I'm invested now. We've got Giggly Squad, which I finally committed to listening to this. And if you do not listen to Giggly Squad, please stop what you're doing and listen to Giggly Squad. It is by Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner, and it is so funny. Hannah is a legit comedian, like that is her career. And then Paige might as well be a comedian. She's a reality TV star, and they are so freaking funny. It's just such a happy podcast. And then we've got Pursuit of Wellness by Marla Llewellyn. And this one I honestly don't listen to a lot because a lot of the times the podcast episodes are honestly just like too informative for me, and I want more of a casual listen, like, you know, Giggly Squad or Call Her Daddy, something like that. Whereas these are a lot more science driven, and like it'll be an episode about PCOS. I'm like, okay, I've listened to an episode about PCOS. I don't need to listen to another one. So it really just depends on the topic for me. But when there is an episode I'm interested in, I usually love it. And then we've also got Anna's Guide, which is Anna Sitar. Oh my God. She's another content creator I forgot about. I have followed her since probably her 2020 career takeoff. I'm adding her to my list right now. But so she now has a podcast called Anna's Guide. And it took a minute to grow on me. It didn't hit the spot at first, but now I love it. And I also think she's just becoming a better podcaster already, but I'm a fan. All right. And my favorite trips of 2024, which if you all know, I travel a ton. 90% of them are for work, 10% of them are fun. So basically all of the ones I'm about to list are the 10% for fun. So we've got San Diego. And when I was thinking of the trips I went on this year, I almost forgot about this one. And I don't know how. Probably because I block out the months of May to August in my brain, because that's my crazy work summertime. But I went to San Diego with Price in August for a few days just for fun. And it was my first time going there just for a vacation, not for work. And I had the best time. Like right after that trip, I joined a Facebook group to move there so that I could find a roommate and housing and everything. Clearly that didn't happen, but I've always wanted to live there. And that was my first time being there that I was like, oh my God, wait, I could do it. So that was just such a fun, relaxing vacation. I went surfing successfully. It was great. And then also earlier this spring, or like late spring, I went to Austin with my college roommates, Price and Emily, and we stayed with Caroline, who is an Austin native now. And it was just the best time, which I could have fun in the middle of nowhere with those girls. But Austin, if you've never been, is an amazing place. Amazing food, amazing bars, just so much to do. And then this summer, I got to go twice to Beaufort with Lake and, again, the gals. So we went for Memorial Day and the 4th of July. And that's just, you can't go wrong with a boat and some water on a holiday in the summer. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then we did our ski trip it was like late January, early February to Steamboat, Colorado. Amazing. Amazing. Again, we could be skiing anywhere and it'd be amazing, but that trip was just so incredible. And then I also went to New York this fall because Price moved there, and Savannah and my friend Casey's back there and she got engaged. So I love New York. I always love New York. And anytime I go, it feels so special. But this was the first time I went and got to stay in Manhattan for like the full stay. So that was awesome because it was just waking up and literally being in the city, not having to, train from Long Island or drive or do whatever. Like, you just wake up and you're there and you go walk and get bagels and sit in a park and eat them and just people watch. I mean, what could be better? All right, so those are my trips. Now we're getting into some random categories that I was like, I can't not mention these. But so we've got a health and wellness category. And for this one, you know what I'm going to say, but my workouts, we still have Peloton on the list because Peloton holds a very special place in my heart. But more importantly, we've got core power yoga because I started going back in, I don't know, maybe October, and I'm still going. I go several times a week. It's amazing. I'm going tomorrow morning. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I do need to reincorporate strength back into my workouts because my body's changing and not necessarily for the better. So I need to start lifting heavy again, but I love it. And it's also benefited my life in so many other ways than just exercise. All right. Then we've got a random item / things category of favorite things for this year. Number 1, we've got the unbrush hairbrush. It's not a wet brush. It's an unbrush. You just have to try it. My mom got it forever ago and she was like, oh my God, Corey, you have to brush your hair with this. And I was like, what? It can't be that good. Tried it. It's that good. I just can't explain it. You just have to try it. All right. Then we've got Target PJ pants, which currently wearing right now. I can't really show you. I'm not that flexible, but they are the best things ever. They're the fleece ribbed pants. They are so unbelievably beyond comfortable and you need them. Then we've got my UGG slippers. I love them. I wear them all the time. Like literally all the time. They're the best. Unfortunately, I was outside in them today and I stepped in poop. So it was fine. It came off, but that was just really sad. I was more mad about the shoe getting poop on it than like actually stepping in poop, All right. Then we've got my Kindle. Obviously, you knew that was also going to be on the list. And then this one is just innovation that excites. And I need to master it, but sock curls, where you take literally a fuzzy sock or a long Nike Elite sock, whatever, and you put it in your mouth, wrap your hair around it, and then like flip it. Where was that when I was 16? Like, that would have changed my life. So I'm just excited that people are figuring things out still and sharing them. They're not gatekeeping, because that's a insane method to make your hair look good. And I'm just excited about it. And even though I don't really use it, I'm just excited for the world. All right, now we've got 2024 faves in the kitchen. So appliances, Ninja Creamy, obviously. Then we've also got the Instapot, which I have like the 11-in-1. It's an Instapot and an air fryer. And I've really learned this year that you can make anything in an Instapot or an air fryer. But it's just changed my life. And I've started making rice in the Instapot. That has changed my life as well. And then I love my lemon crate and barrel dishes, which if you follow me on Corey in the Kitchen, I eat off of them year round all the time. But they just make me happy. All right, then we've got supplements. Bloom, obviously. I've been on their greens for quite some time now, but I got their collagen this year. And I do really think it has helped my hair and nails grow faster, because collagen's for hair, skin, and nails. And I've always known I should be taking it, but I finally found, like, Bloom came out with theirs this year, and I trust their sourcing and everything. So I've been trying theirs and I really like it. I get it off of Amazon, so it's very accessible. And then also Element electrolytes. Orange salt is my favorite. Element's probably too salty for a lot of people, but I am a fan. And I have one every day. Okay, my 2024 favorite recipes. We've got date bark, obviously, for a dessert. Another dessert, we've got the Ninja Creamy Fairlife protein shake. Well, I guess I should say the Fairlife protein shake turned into a Ninja Creamy. We've got sourdough, finally getting better at that this year. And then making steak on a cast iron skillet. Definitely have been doing that a lot. I literally did it tonight. And then a sheet pan chicken recipe where you have chicken, onions, peppers with a bunch of seasoning. You just throw it in the oven and then cook rice. And it's so simple, not a lot of dishes, but the flavor is just amazing. And then we've got my staple meals, which is a combination of a protein, a veggie, and a grain or a carb. But currently, top of the list, we've got a beef bowl with sweet potatoes and broccoli. Then I also have like salmon and Brussels and probably also a sweet potato. It's this year was the year of the sweet potato for me. And then I usually, more in the summertime, but I'll do a Greek chicken salad situation. And then for breakfast, I have my go-tos of yogurt bowl, smoothies, or avocado toast with egg and cottage cheese. So those have been what I've been eating like literally all the time. Okay, now moving on from the kitchen. Now we've got my top unaesthetic shit moments of 2024, which there's probably some better ones on the list. I went through my Instagram highlight where I post them all and save them all. And these ones just stood out to me. So second most recently was when I was in Phoenix this fall. I was going to dinner at this nice Mexican restaurant that we've been to all the time with my coworkers, and we were excited because it's like a really good Mexican spot, right? Get there, they're like, oh, it's gonna be a 45-minute wait. And I was like, no, that's just not gonna work. So immediately we're looking up other Mexican places, and there's this one that comes up on the list, and we're like, okay, great, we'll go there. It's back near the Airbnb. And I'm like, all right, someone call and just make sure there's not a wait. So, Maggie calls, like, oh yeah. Well, then this should have been the first red flag. They answered the phone. They said, takeout or like, are you coming to pick up or delivery, whatever. And she's like, oh no, just do you have a wait? And they're like, no. We pull up. This place is empty. There's not a single person in there. And then also the menu, it definitely used to be a Chinese restaurant because a Chinese restaurant has the photos of the food up on the wall and like the cubes. This was that, but Mexican food. And it was also in a shopping center, hole in the wall. I was like, we're either going to have the best Mexican food we've ever had or we're going to get food poisoning. And neither happened, but it was decent. So that was just really funny. And we were like, those people working that answered the phone probably had such a good laugh of us calling and saying, is there a wait? And they look around and there's not a soul in the restaurant. So that was great. All right, number 2, we've got literally everything freezing in Kansas City. Our water, our coffee, the water barrels that we move for our stores spilled, and we created black ice that lasted for 4 days. That was just not ideal conditions, but I just let it be funny to me. And everyone had to get cold coffee because if you got hot coffee, it was cold within seconds. So you might as well get a cold coffee that just stays cold the whole time. But then you still have to drink it fast enough so that it doesn't freeze and turn into a frappuccino. Okay, number 3. This one stuck out to me a lot this year. All of the airport quote meals, they're not real meals, the airport meals that I've had this year. And it's just a combination of whatever random airport overpriced snack I can find that has protein. So whether that's a protein bar, some sort of like trail mix situation, a protein shake. And I just, even the thinking about these like makes my stomach kind of hurt. But that's just never pretty. But you got to do what you got to do. Okay, number 4, I think, is any trip that we take to Beaufort. And when we get to stay at the Inlet Inn, there's usually 4 or 5 of us to a room. I guess 4 of us to a room. And our bags, the second we walk in the room, explode. And this really happens on any girls trip, but specifically the Inlet Inn, where our bags are just lying down the wall and like up on the windowsill. This is a very niche one. If you know, you know. I know like Price and Lake are going to listen to this and just giggle. But it's insane. Our bags literally just explode and we don't clean up a single thing until we leave, which we're all very clean people. So the fact that we even let it get that messy is off brand, but it's just an unspoken rule of what happens when we stay there. Okay, number 5. I'd forgotten about this till I went through my Instagram highlights, but our kitchen sink broke at one point this year. And so I had to wash my dishes in the bathtub, which, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Okay. Then I tacked on a little, these kind of came to me, which I do think I'm going to do an episode with more things that I've learned, maybe tied to my birthday again or something, but I just throw in some 2024 things I've learned. So number 1, You just need a little bit of delusion and false confidence in life, which I don't really want to elaborate on these too much. But if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. And if you want something to happen, and you just have to have literally a little bit of delusion. Like me starting a podcast, like what? Whoever would have thought I would have done that? But I had a little bit of delusion that I could do it. And here we are. Okay, number 2, maintaining relationships with friends is never easy, but always worth it and rewarding. I don't think that one needs explaining. I mean, my friends are all over the country and it's really hard to keep up, but when you do, it's the best thing ever. And then they stay your friend, so it's a win-win. Number 3, plan trips and schedule dinner dates. You just have to. And also sometimes you have to be the person that does the planning, which I am very much that person in a lot of my relationships. And you know what? Sometimes it's not fun to be the planner, but if you're the planner, you have plans. All right, number 4, take care of yourself and listen to your body. Self-explanatory. Number 5, making new friends is scary, but go to the workout class, go to the party, text them first, go on a walk, get coffee. As Nike says, just do it. This is something that I've always been working on and specifically wanted to be intentional about this year, because making friends as an adult is so scary and it's hard and it's not fun and it's awkward and it's like worse than dating. Not that I really know much about dating, but it's just not easy. And we don't talk about it enough, but just do it. Just put yourself in the awkward situations. Otherwise, you're never going to get anything out of it. So yeah. Okay. And then lastly, invest your money and take your finances seriously. I finally started doing that this year and I've made money. Wow. What a shocker. Who would have thought that investing actually worked? That's always a great thing. But yeah, that is my 2024 favorites wrapped. We're going to end this one here. But thank you guys for listening and thank you for being a huge part of my 2024 as well. I love this podcast. I love you guys. Thank you for being a listener. So please do me a favor. And if you don't already follow me on Phone Eats First Pod on Instagram and Corey_in the kitchen on Instagram and TikTok and I think YouTube, please do so. And then also share this podcast with a friend, leave a rating and review, all the things. And I hope you guys have a great week. We will talk soon. You are listening to Phone Eats First.